Welcome to episode 233 of Friars on the Farm. I'm Donovan, and with me is Roy.
Oh, it's the best time of the year. It's the
The
most
most
wonderful time of the
wonderful
year.
time. People always say, "Do you like to see? Are you watching the Super Bowl?" I'm like, I'm waiting for the day after. The day after, people were asking me, "How are you?" Great, it's best day ever. Why? They give me this funky look, like this is the day after the Super Bowl.
Three
Baseball's
words,
back.
pitchers and
And
catchers
catchers,
report. Today, it happened on the same day. Super
yeah.
Bowl Sunday, pitchers and catchers report. I don't know about you. I didn't watch a minute of the Super Bowl. I was busy doing other stuff. I kind of lost care. The only thing I was interested, maybe see a commercial or see what Usher did on the halftime show, but nah, I want to know more about. I was refreshing Twitter, seeing what Sammy Levitt was posting over on 97.3. Hearing the ball pop into the gloves.
Yeah. I had to watch the game. We had to move out of the hotel. We found an Airbnb. It's going to be months before we get back into our place, and so we found an Airbnb actually down the street from the condo. Um, while my wife has to write a bunch of pages for her class, and then she had a friend that came in from out of town. A very busy weekend, and we ended up watching the whole Super Bowl. We watched it all, but I don't really care. I didn't have a vested interest in it, other than the commercials, which I thought were kind of fun. Um, and then let's go. Then yesterday happened, and they had pitches and catches report. And I know you didn't catch it, but I caught the Michael King interview, the Matsui interview
That was
in
so good.
dude, in Spanish and English. Like, who does that? Who does that?
And
Um,
that's preparation right there. He must have practiced his lines in it because he doesn't speak either language. He's not
right.
fluent in either language. So I get the impression that he's at least borderline conversational a little bit. But to have that speech prepared and delivered to the press, he asked that we give him a warm welcome, and
Yeah.
you know that the Padres fans will. Okay,
Yeah.
so for today's agenda, we have the Wandy Peralta announcement of his official signing. Jurickson Profar is back. Nathan Martorella gets a late invite. We've got some thoughts on the first day of pitchers and catchers. And then we've got an interview with El Paso AAA hitting coach and longtime friend of the podcast, Raul Padron.
Yes, Raul's coming back. We missed him last year. But first, hey guys, go to Instagram, go to Apple, go to Spotify, go to iHeartRadio, hit the smash button. We now have a YouTube channel. Go hit subscribe. Search Friars on the Farm. Find us there. We'll be posting interviews. We'll be posting this interviews, all the future episodes, all the content that we can create. We'll be adding to that YouTube channel. The opening song is Thrills by Video in the Trees. Find them on Spotify as well. And if you want to see them, you can see them at the Template in Ocean Beach, February 23rd. And boom, surprise, we've got a sponsor. So right now, go to manscaped.com and use the code FRIARS for 20% off plus free shipping. That's not 5%. That's not 10%. Dude, 20% off is a significant savings. So go to manscaped.com, and we have more about that later on in the show. But let's get
You get
going.
20% off because you probably could stand to take more than 20% off the top.
Right.
Okay, so MLB news. The Padres make the Wandy Peralta signing official. From Dennis Lynn, 2 days before pitchers and catchers report to the Peoria Sports Complex, the San Diego Padres announced the signing of left-hander Wandy Peralta to a 4-year, $16.5 million contract. The agreement includes 3 player options, meaning it could end up as a 1-year deal with a reliever the Padres expressed interest in dating back to the 2023 trade deadline. And I didn't know that they had trade
Yeah.
interest going back that far. So he kind of skims over the player options, but I mean, that was kind of the buzz, was how unusual this contract was, how it puts all of the leverage in the player's hand, which is fine. And that probably means that they were able to, less average annual value because he's got more guaranteed money and
Yeah.
he has all the control in his hands.
And if he nails it this year and he bounces out, that's fine. We have another year of guys developing in the minors, another year of guys that we're still looking at, the Padres are still looking for, that we can pick up. It does. It gets the annual average value, a high leverage pitcher with tons of upside on the cheap. And, if he does well and say we make it to the playoffs, or, he wants to stick around, picks it up. Maybe we even bump it up a little money, after he maybe opts out, and we give him a little raise or something like that. So the flexibility, I think, is there, obviously, for the player, but certainly the flexibility could be there for the team as well.
Right. And now the team still needs starting pitching and outfielders.
God,
Right. I
yeah.
would love to see another veteran starting pitcher in the out there. It'd be nice if it was a lefty because everybody's so righty heavy right now on the Padres roster. But outfielders. So we got a little bit of news later about Profar, which is nice. I still think he's got work to do. So Preller
Yeah.
says, quote, we're still actively talking to different players, outfield starting pitching options, as well as pen type possibilities. But maybe it's something too where you get into spring training and you're constantly looking to improve your team throughout the season. If we don't find something we line up on, we're not just going to try to make a move to make a move. So throughout spring training, there's a lot of little transactions happening. There's guys that are on the edge of a roster that get bumped because they don't have any major league options or minor league options left.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, there are people that come available, even if they aren't free agents right now.
But let's put this to the Preller Interpreter 300. Pen type possibilities, open guys that want to start, a lot like Waka, like a Lugo, like guys that are still out there that, maybe have, they want to start and they've been in the bullpen. Um, Let them cook. And during spring training, like you said, a lot of those things happen. A lot of guys get released. We pick them up. We throw them in for depth. A lot of teams say, hey, we've got some extra guys. Some of these other guys are going to work out, and there's trade partners there. And that's just how spring training kind of works. And I think it's a smart way to do it when you're looking to get stuff on the cheap. When you have a little bit of depth in the minors, that does need that time to develop and get better on the pitching side as well as the position player side. So there are some arms down in the minor leagues that I think not only are starters that we talk about all the time, but some bullpen guys, your Carter Lowe, and your give me a name. God dang it. It just,
Kevin Kopps, Moises
yes.
Lugo,
Yeah.
Tommy Nance, Nolan Watson, some Blake Bacher, Daniel Camarena, Ryan Carpenter, Austin Krob, Javian Sandridge. Lots of guys out there.
Yeah.
So Preller also said, quote, we feel like we have a group of pitchers and position players that we're going to give opportunity to and have some younger guys as well that have come through the system that we feel good about and we think are going to show well in camp and are going to be prepared to play in the big leagues this year. So we're weighing all that out. We're always looking to improve, but we're not just going to force something just to make a move. So it's it's not necessarily that those guys need to contribute right away.
Right.
I have a feeling that they're kind of looking for stopgap types for when those players are ready to contribute later on in the
Yeah.
season. So that's where your Robbie Snellings, your Adam Mazers, your Ryan Bergerts come into play. But on the outfield side, it's going to be interesting to watch what Oscar Mercado, Cal Mitchell, and Bryce Johnson do. Those are the three guys they brought on
Yeah.
minor league contracts with an invite to spring training that all three of them have some experience at the major league level, and you never know who's going to pop.
Absolutely. And, so they putting that through the Predator 300 Interpreter 300, that's exactly what it is. It's, we like the guys that, if we can't find it, almost it says like, if we can't find anything, we do have a backup plan. It's not the greatest backup plan because it would be maybe an Oscar Mercado or maybe a Jacob Marcy in left or, Jackson Merrill's going to get some time in left field. But you also have Tirso Ornelas, who had a really great showing in AAA last year and looks to be close to ready. Power's not quite there yet. That's what I think they're kind of waiting on. But the hitting for average and gap to gap hitting, I think, is there. And once again, could be another stopgap cup of coffee for Tirso.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
All right. So next new segment here, trimming the roster, brought to you by Manscaped. Da, 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 da. So Padres inked Jurickson Profar for a 1-year $1 million contract. So that was today's big news, and it was funny. Were you paying attention this morning? I don't know what time of day you're driving in and listening to Ben and Woods in the morning, but I was driving in, and they said something, and I looked on his Instagram, and he had this whole like highlight reel, and at the end it said the job's not done, and that was before anybody knew anything. It's like he broke his own news.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's going to get his hand slapped for that. But it was kind of telling because during the offseason, you see him in the DR working with Tatis Sr. You see him hanging out with Fernando. You see him around the Padre players, which I think he would be anyway. But you just kind of like, as a fan, you're like, we've had that guy before. But as guys start dropping off the board that were even back like we're squinting, like, okay, we'll take him. But then he gets picked up, and someone gets picked up. We're like, oh man, we would love to have had that guy. Um, I think a little bit of that with Padres Twitter, and I think a little bit of that with the Padres themselves. Like he's our stopgap, and if we do make another move with someone a little more established via trade or via by signing someone, he could easily fall back into that fourth outfielder position. And he is that spark plug. He is the vibes guy. He's $1 million vibes guy, and that's plenty fine. Like he has those tough at bats. He does give you really good at bats. And he has pretty good arm. Okay, he threw out a bunch of guys the year before last.
Oh yeah, and every once in a while he gets fired up about something.
Yeah,
And if it's something that's real or it's something that's just like, a situation that he made up in his head, whatever. The team lacked fire last year.
yeah,
There were times that I was thinking like this team needs to get into a brawl or something. Like something needs to happen to
yeah,
pull this together. And so Profar getting upset because he slid too hard in the bag and somebody took issue in it with it or
yeah.
something like that, gets up and starts waving his hand at him, telling him to F off this. And that's the kind of stuff that I mean, it looks immature at the moment,
Yeah.
but you never know. It's like you need guys that have your back. And that's what Joe Musgrove was talking today about culture, about establishing the culture and the identity of the team early. So, I love having it's a $1 million contract. He's got some plate appearance incentives that'll raise it up to $2.5 million
Yeah.
max. So if it's the end of May and he's hitting 200 and you look down in the minors and there's somebody that's killing it and has earned a shot up, then
Yeah.
you write it off and you go ahead and let him go and you give somebody else an opportunity, or he plays like he was playing for the Padres in the last couple of. And a reminder, in that last month of the year, he batted 296. He posted a 776 OPS for the
Yeah.
Padres. He seemed like a more invigorated player. Maybe he just wasn't happy in that the high air in Colorado.
Well, and that's it. When you're playing with your friends, you're happier. When you're playing in that lineup, you're going to get better pitches to hit. They're going to go, okay,
Yeah,
we can squeak by Profar, and he'll
right.
snap one off and he'll knock it, and he could also, if that does happen when he moves into a more platoon, he can hit against righties or he can hit against lefties, whichever. I'm not sure whatever his strong side is.
He's
Um,
better against lefties, which unfortunately is the case with most of the guys in the Padres roster. But the fact that he can switch over to the other side and
yeah,
hold his own against righties, uh, it's nice. So he doesn't strike out a ton. He draws a lot of walks. I like that. And what we struggled with last year, the team would get to the second half of the order and it just fall off a cliff because
yeah,
you've got Austin Nola, Trent Grisham, whoever else, and it's just strike out,
yeah.
ground out, pop fly, and you're not moving guys over. You're not getting runners in. How many times did you get Tatis, you get Bogarts, you get somebody else, you got
On
two or three
second,
guys on, and then one or two outs, and that's it, and you're
yeah,
done. So adding some length to that order, you don't need thumpers in the back of the order.
right,
You need consistency. You need guys that
right,
are going to be tough outs, and he's a tough out.
yeah,
So the one other move that I saw, the Padres signed outfielder Zach Rex, that's Reks, to a minor league contract. He was drafted by the Dodgers in 2017. He's got 22 major league games under his belt. Didn't do much in those 22 games, but that's not much of a sample size.
right.
In 2021 and 2022, he's got big raw power. He's a corner outfielder. So somebody to stash away in AAA and see if he turns into the next Brent Rooker or something like that.
Right.
You never know when somebody's going to catch fire.
And we are really trying to find a silver lining in all this outfield the scandal. It's almost a scandal now, really. It's just like we're so used to having them just go get a guy, and now it's not the case anymore. And we have to have these placeholders for the really exciting guys that are in the minors, and that's what we got. And if it's a transition year, but it's a long season. And that's the thing we're talking about kind of before is it's a long season. This is the beginning roster. This beginning roster will look completely different, I believe, by the end of the season, be it via trade, via signing guys, via, just how the season rolls. What you see now is not going to be what we finish with. And I think that's more important than anything. So have the patience. It's going to be real important that we get off to a strong start, get some games underneath us, get some wins, kind of build that identity, kind of get a feeling with where everyone goes. let Mike Schultz start to manage again. You know, he has to kind of get his feet wet again. Everyone seems to be really excited to have him here. The communication, not only from, you know, player to coach, but coach to staff, and just everything I've heard about him from the players on Twitter has been positive. And he knows the guys in the system. And that's the thing. The guys coming up know him. And, you know, they've been in the clubhouse. Our clubhouse is very welcoming as well, I believe, to a lot of the minor league guys. So they know they're coming up. They know they're going to help. And that's what they do. That whole culture, I think, of, and it's been for a while, it's been like that, where rookie shut up, sit down, and we'll tell you when to talk. It's no longer. It's more about, you're here to help us win. We want to make you feel comfortable. It's none of this tough, toxic masculinity crap where, you know, here, carry all our jock straps. It's what can you do to help us win? We're trying to win.
They still have to carry the luggage. They still have to do a little extra. Wear the Yoda backpack full of candy.
Yes, right. And have to do that for the bullpen guys.
Yeah, the little rookie stuff. But yeah,
you know, and that's fun. The rookie stuff is fun. They got to make them dress funny, you know, for a plane ride or something like that. Or they got to, you know, first paycheck, they got to buy dinner for everyone.
Ah, yep.
Yeah. Because that first paycheck is probably what more they made all of last year. All right. Hey, we'll be right back with an interview with Raul Padron right after this from Manscaped. 2024 is here in full swing, and that means it's time for a New Year's resolution check-in with our friends at Manscaped. Newsflash, it's never too late to level up your grooming game and keep your bush tamed.
Manscaped's new Lawnmower 5.0 is Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're going for a trim or that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered.
Trusted over by 10 million men worldwide, now is your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code FRIARS for 20% off plus free shipping. The ball has dropped, but don't drop the ball on your balls. And I tell you, Roy, I got the gear on Friday. I leveled up on Saturday, and I used the lawnmower. Fantastic. In the past, I've used scissors. I've used a razor with varying degrees of blood and carnage.
Yeah, that's hazardous.
Very hazardous. And I was really skeptical about using them. I used the trimmer as well. Everything was fantastic, smooth, no nicks, no cuts, smooth. It looked really good. It felt good, and I feel refreshed and fresh.
So here's two things I like about it. I like that it's got its own little headlight so you can see what you're doing. And I like that it's USB charged. You don't have to have a separate charging brick to keep these things charged. And that goes for the nose trimmer too.
Absolutely. And it's waterproof. I didn't know that. And I read all this stuff beforehand. It's waterproof. You can do this in the shower, man. And I tell you, it's revolutionized my grooming experience here. I don't mean to understate that, but it's just the way it is.
And then when you're done, they give you some nice products to help soothe and, you know, moisturize and all that other fun stuff. So yeah, hop on Manscaped and use code FRIARS for 20% off.
So for all of you men that want the full grooming experience, look no further than the Manscaped Performance Package 5.0. In the grooming kit, you get the trusted lawnmower, Manscaped's ear and nose hair trimmer, and the essential aftercare products with the crop soother, ball aftershave lotion, and crop preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant.
Yeah, it's deodorant for your balls. Bet you didn't think you needed that. As a gesture for the new year, they even threw in 2 free gifts: the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag, because they know good and well you're still rocking your boxers from high school. They probably have holes in them and stuff. So let's face it, resolutions might come and go, but a well-groomed you is here to stay thanks to Manscaped.
Right. So once again, go to manscaped.com and use the promo code FRIARS for 20% off and free shipping. Well, hey, we're here with a friend of the podcast, El Paso hitting coach, Raul Padron. Raul, Jefe, how are you?
Good, man. I'm amazing. How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good, but you just got, like, we tried to do this before when you were on the road. When you were on the road, it's glad to have you, you know, in a safe place and be able to talk to us and not have to, you know, like drive and, you know, talk to us at the same time.
I know. That was kind of crazy. You know, it's a long way from Amarillo to Arizona, but now I'm safe, so now I'm relaxed, and definitely we can enjoy this conversation today.
Absolutely. So, hey, we know that you're on the minor league side of things, but is it all hands on deck there in Peoria? What do they have you doing so far? Have you just been there a few days?
Yeah. I mean, we almost have the whole package here. You know, there's a couple minor league guys still, here already. Well, basically, I'm just with the hitting, and focus with all the hitting guys, and trying to help a lot in the cage and on the field, throwing BP, doing stuff like that. So far it's been very busy the first couple of days. You know, the guys are working hard, so that's a good thing to see.
So at this point in spring, what's the schedule like? Is there like a regular schedule every day? Is there a report date that hasn't come yet? And when do the backlot games start up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we start some live VP a couple days ago already. I mean, we actually have our third day of live VP today, and definitely we have a schedule. You know, sometimes we start super early, like this morning we're in the cage at 6:30 a.m. You know, we're grinding. Seems like the sun wasn't even out yet. You know, we meet there for a little bit with the hitting coaches, with the head guy as well. And so far, it has been done a lot of work for the hitters. And the good thing is they have seen a lot of pitching, so that's a good thing for any hitter.
Guys come in so prepared already. So to get them in there early and just kind of get them going, is just putting that all together. So, Raul, you spent this whole winter coaching in the Venezuelan League. How was that coaching for the Tigres?
Yeah, that was I think that was the best experience that I can get from winter ball, man. You know, because I went to Mexico a couple of times in the past, but this time was different. This time was an amazing experience for me. You know, I think it helped me a lot with being a little bit more mature. You know, like definitely the way to approach the hitters. You know, I was with veteran guys. I was with some staff that were from different organizations. You know, and that was kind of huge. Used to have more people around that knows the game really, really well, and it was very good for me.
Yeah, you have some familiar names on that. I was looking down the roster. I saw Alexi Amorista is still playing. Who
Yeah.
are some of the guys that you were working with down there?
Yeah, I mean, I have a Marista, still a really, really good hitter. He was one of the best hitters of the league. And then I have Jose Martinez. He was with the Cardinals before. He spent a couple of years with them as a pinch hitter. He was the first base. He won the MVP of the league, so that's a good thing. I have that in my pocket now. So that was amazing.
I see that Pedro Avila was down there.
Pedro was there. He actually got a couple starts with us. It was really good. I mean, he looks really good down there. He fakes Acuna. He strike him out. And then next at bat, Acuna hit a pop out of second base. Acuna didn't look too good against Pedro, so that's a good thing.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean that's Pedro's game. He's not really a
yeah,
strikeout guy. He's more of
Yeah,
a you get you
soft
out on your front
contact.
foot, soft
yeah.
contact kind of a guy.
He gets some ground balls, a lot of ground balls out of that changeup sinker.
We're really hoping to see him take a big step forward this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him as the back end of the rotation coming out of spring. But really, the question I have is like, did you have to go through the U.S. State Department? How did you? I know you're from Venezuela. Uh, I can't remember if you
Yes.
have dual citizenship or not, but did you have to go through the State Department to go down there and play? Did you get permission?
Well, I do have a dual citizenship
Okay,
now. Last year, I became a United States citizen.
that's right.
So, I was waiting for that because my Venezuelan passport was expired. There wasn't really much that I would couldn't do with that passport expired. So I needed my new U.S. passport so that I can go to either Dominican or Venezuela or Puerto Rico. I mean, not Puerto Rico, but Mexico. To do and work over there. So that was not that now that's all clear. So I can just go to anywhere.
Well, congratulations on citizenship. Yeah, we've heard that
Appreciate
like
it.
Venezuela, the political side is so turbulent. I think I even heard that the U.S. closed their embassy there at one point. So that's got to be tricky navigating all that stuff.
Yeah, it's not for sure, for sure. You know, the government stuff is just crazy. You know, politicals never, you cannot trust them. But you know, right now situation is it's kind of like a little better from what it was. So, you know, hopefully they keep it that way because the league is getting better, the levels start going up again. You know, players wants to play, and we have imports. You know, they're really taking a good care of the players. That's what I saw this past winter.
A couple years
So
back, I
on that
talked to.
topic,
Go ahead. Well, a couple years
so
back,
on
I talked to Jairo Iriarte, and he's from Venezuela, and that's one of the things. Right after the WBC, and he's like he's so eager to go play for Venezuela in the WBC. Maybe not in this round, but maybe the next round after that, I'm sure he'll be able to go play for him.
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, that kid has an amazing talent. You know, it's incredible just to watch him how he developed himself so fast. You know, and growing so far in his career. I think definitely maybe in the next one. Who knows? You know, like he's been like growing and maturing so fast that it's just
Yeah.
things now are going too fast. You know, like they just go like this and get ready to compete in the best level.
So we were talking about passport stuff. It seems like every year there's a couple of players that are hung up. They can't get their visa to come, at the start of spring training. How does that whole process work as far as getting a visa as a native of another country?
Right. Yeah, that's a little difficult because you know the embassy in Venezuela is closed, so that now players have to go through the Dominican Republic or Colombia, you know, there or maybe Curacao. You know, those are the areas that they've been using lately. I think because for a Venezuelan player to go to the DR, they need a visa. So
Yeah.
you know, like they don't have the visa, so they have to go to Colombia or Curacao or Brazil. Depends, you know, depends where the team have, you know, connection where hey, we have 5 baseball players that are gonna get their visa. You know, we need an appointment for a work visa, which is not too hard, but sometimes it gets a little complicated. I don't know. I mean, it's weird to be honest with you. You know, like sometimes it's super fast and sometimes that you know things got complicated, so the players got delayed, or even the coaches. You know, it's a little uncomfortable situation for the Venezuelan staff or players.
Yeah. Yeah.
So playing in Venezuela, I understand it's kind of hazardous on the work side of things. Is that a concern down there, or is that just stories that we hear?
No, I mean I'm gonna be honest. Like this time it was really different. I feel it's like a bubble right now. You know, like a good bubble. You know, like where things are happening. You know, I think I don't know if the government wants to finally do something for the country, or it's just maybe a good year for them. You know, I'm not really sure. It was safe. My family went there. You know, while I was working, my wife went to the beach with my daughter and my mother-in-law and my mom. You know, they actually were fine. They say that it was so clear, secure. It was a lot of police around. You know, it wasn't. We didn't have any issue, and I'm happy for that. You know, and from what I saw, I went to a lot of states. You know, I traveled with the team, and it really wasn't too bad. You know, obviously you can see what it's kind of like two sides. It's even the kind of like the people high class, and it's like the very very low class. That's it. You know, that's not a secret. But I mean, hopefully they can keep that going, and the
Yeah.
people can invest in their little business and whatever, and start growing again. You know.
That's a good point you raised. And I had the opportunity to go to Ecuador many years ago, and I was struck by that separation of class. Like we feel like it's the rich versus the poor here in the United States, but you go to a Latin American country and it's a whole other level
Yeah.
of the
Hmm.
nice neighborhood where
Yeah,
the
yeah,
people that have, and then the vast poverty. It really struck me.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Hey, well, we didn't get a chance to talk to you last year. And last year was your first year in El Paso. How was that adjustment? Did you have to change your focus on development from, maybe developing lower in the AA, where in the AAA, where you have guys that are more, more established and had maybe sometimes been to the major leagues, and you just kind of maintaining swings? What was the focus there?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely different, and it was different because like you say, like it's just older guys, guys that been in the big leagues, Well, we even have Jose Iglesias last year, the guy that played 13 years in the big leagues, like that was a huge difference, coming from, development kids from 23 years, 21, 24, 25 to get to that point, where guys were having 5 years in the big leagues, 3, 2, 7, 10, you know, all kind of experience there in that team. But we have a couple of kids that were not too old, like Tirso, he was, a little bit there with us. And we have Eguy, which is not all, but he had already, big experience. But I think it was sort of different, but it was more like creating. First thing was creating some good relationships, in order to, like let them know that we're here for them. You will see different characters. You will see, people that's mad because they think they should be in the big leagues, Then so it was like a good learning process to handle them, like just let them know, like, okay, well, you guys still here, but if you perform and the team needs you, they're gonna call you up, and it happens in the year, so that they saw that as possible. So it's like basically it's how to manage, those situations with the hitters, like I know you don't want to be here, but guess what? You want to keep rolling in the business and go back to the big leagues. You try to perform. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you and make it happen again for you.
That's got to be a challenge
Yeah.
managing the old guys, the veterans with a decade in the game, and then the kids that are on the way up at the same time. They're side by side. So Tirso made some really good strides last year. It felt like at the end of the season, I thought he was close to making it a call up. What do you think he has left to prove? What's the next step for him to be able to earn that opportunity?
Right. He actually have, his best year for sure. I think he needs consistency. I think he needs to get off of a hot start. He needs to prove that he actually can do it again from the get go. Like no wasting any time. I'm not saying he can, maybe go on a little slow in the beginning, but the idea for him will be like, you know what, I'm here. I'm gonna prove it that I can actually make it happen. And it's still some things that any hitter will be adjusting in that process. But definitely, I think his confidence is gonna bring him to that point where he can actually prove that, what I'm ready, and he can be a definite candidate to help in the big leagues.
So with somebody like him in particular, at the end of the season, when you guys are gonna part ways, he's gonna go off for the off season. Do you give him specific goals to work on? Is he working on things in his mechanics, things in his approach in the off season, or is it just like, go work out, work on this, work on that, and come back? I'll see you in the spring.
I mean, no, definitely. When they finish their season, there's a talk, before they go home. Hey, if you and I play winnable like he did, like you should work in this stuff just to, try to get that better, trying to make a little adjustments here and there. And there's definitely conversations. Now when this year was a little more, I mean, it was a little less talking because they have the players association. They don't want, they want the players to have actually an off season,
Right.
so it cannot be any more talk, like we normally do, which is okay. Like they need their time, but before that happened, we are in contact. We share they share videos and stuff like that, and we give them our feedback and just we give them a package, and now it's in their hands to keep it rolling that way, so they can come back and for next spring training and be ready to go.
Oh, who did we talk to? We just talked to, was it Nathan Martorella that we talked to like 2 days before Thanksgiving? We talked to him like a week before Thanksgiving. He's like, yeah, next week we don't talk to anyone till till the first of the year. I do, you're working in Venezuela, but is it, and do you guys kind of, it's your first year having that break, what do you feel about that break? Do you kind of like it where you can maybe just focus on what you're doing in Venezuela and, don't need to kind of keep in contact with so many guys, and you do kind of get a way to step back? How do you feel about that break of non-contact with the minor league guys?
Right. I mean, on the player side, I think that's a good thing for them. They definitely need a break. I think sometimes too much doesn't work too well. I think they need, a little freedom. Some guys, would like to stay in contact for sure, but I think they deserve to be, like on their off season, not to worry about, I got to send this, I got to talk to this guy. I think now they're professionals. They're professional. They should come back in a better shape, in a better condition, because it's their career. But as a coach, I would love to talk to them, like, and every other week, because I definitely want to know how's he doing, how's he feeling, what he's working on it. Are you doing the things that we told you to do, or are you doing something else? Like, you never know. You never know, because they're home and they go to some places and work out, and then for sure, and hitting, everyone knows hitting, and then things can go a little sideways sometimes.
Right. Guy, just get on Twitter for 2 minutes and find 5,000 different absolute masters of hitting. And it does get a little crazy out there about who thinks they know what's best.
Yep, yeah, for sure.
Hey, so Eguy Rosario, we were really, God, I went to fantasy camp last year. They just finished it up this year, and I walked into the clubhouse and in the training room, and I look across the way to the minor league side, and I'm like, that's Eguy with the boot on. Like he had just broken his foot in Winter League, and we were just, I'm like, oh man, it's such a bummer because he was so on the cusp of really making strides and probably even making the major league roster. Then he did make it back.
Right.
What does he need to do kind of to really break the roster as well?
For sure. I mean, it was a bummer, that happened to him. It's a shame because he definitely was, on the paper at least, and then that guy that couldn't be that guy that goes and made the roster for the first day. I mean, he looks really good this year. He looks really good. I mean, competition is gonna be there. There's a couple guys, competing for a spot, definitely an infield spot, and then definitely, maybe two spot for the outfield. Like, I don't know, how's that gonna end, but Eguy definitely have a shot, man. He's a guy that can do a lot of things on defense and definitely can do some damage from the hitting. He can run, he can bunt, he can stone base. Like, this kid can do a lot of things. Now it depends. This is when you love baseball most. Like, you do well, you're probably gonna win that spot. And I think that's it. He's prepared. I think the way things are going for him in spring training I think it's what is going to dictate what's going to happen with him for this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about Eguy. I've got a hypothetical in my mind where he could either make the roster as a starting, like, let's say whatever happens, and there's an opportunity for him to have a starting job. He's going to play every day, versus you look at the roster right now, and there may be a spot on the bench. And
Right.
if the roster as it sits right now, if he was on that team, he might see the field once a week. For a guy like Eguy, is it advantageous for him to get that major league experience, even if he's only getting a little drip at a time? Or is it better for him to be back at El Paso where he's going to be starting 5-6 days a week, and getting all those reps?
I mean, and with this situation is what I think is they're gonna go with whatever the team needs.
Yeah.
You know, because he definitely. I mean, if the team needed, you know, to play every day for the first couple of weeks, I mean, if he's ready, I don't see why, you know, like just seeing him, if he's ready, he's the guy who's gonna be there because he can play, you know, a couple positions, second base, third base. You know, I know Manny got, you know, he just came out from surgery. He might be DHing. Who knows? I don't know. He might be ready for day one. All depends how his body, you know, how his arms feeling, whatever. But definitely, you know, if the team's gonna need him and the team is gonna use him as maybe a pinch runner, maybe a defensive guy at the end, or something like that. I mean, he's gonna have to do that job. But definitely, I will. And at the end is, I think the best way for him to play every day, start playing every day, and whatever happens, you know, go up to the big leagues and be the guy for, you know, for whatever needs they have. But you will see. I mean, it all depends what our team is gonna need for sure.
God, if he wasn't such a fullback, if he didn't have such a fullback body, throw him in the outfield. I know he would work hard to get out there, but there's just no way that body's going to make it.
Oh my God. Yeah, it'll be tough.
Well, God, you know, speaking of guys making the roster, it looks like Luis Camposano has just like, and this is so good. We've followed him for so long, and we've known him since A-ball. It just the strides that he has taken at the plate and in leadership have been so huge. His load though is a little like his stance and his load is a little unorthodox. Who taught him that? Or do you condone that? Or
No, I mean, Campusano, I think he did it in the big leagues last year. So I don't know. But the thing is, like, he looks really good. You know, like he's in tremendous shape. You know, he looks confident. He knows what's coming, I believe, for him. You know, I think he's gonna be our guy. Hopefully, he can hit. You know, he can do a lot of things. For sure, he knows our pitching stuff, which is important. You know, he's gonna have a lot of responsibility behind the plate, and but besides that, he's a guy that can drive the ball. You know, like he can. Sometimes he might be running a little better than what everybody else thought. You know, like he's in such a good shape right now. So I'm excited to see him. You know, to take over and Petco every day behind the play if that's the situation for us.
You were a catcher and you played first base and other positions as well, but primarily a catcher as a player.
Yeah.
Are you involved on the coaching side with the catchers in El Paso? And what did you see evolving from Luis over the last couple of years?
Yes. I've been involved with the catching. Maybe not last year. In the last couple of years, it was a little less, but this year I'm gonna be back to it again. You know, because it was a lot of hitting, a lot of guys more than we normally have. So it was kind of difficult for me to take cover the catching. But you know, from the years being watching him, you know, like he made big strikes. You know, as a catcher, you know, it's never easy, especially when you have such a big responsibility. You know, like you have a guy like Darvish. You know Musgrove. You know, you have all those type of pitching guys. Or you know, this definitely huge weight on your back. The you have to do things right for them. You know, like care for the game, paying attention to details. You know, those guys are super detailed, but still, you know, the catcher's there for them. There's another two eyes that they definitely want to use, and another head that they definitely want to use. So, you know, from the catching, from me to Camposano, he's growing. He's growing a lot. You know, he cares. I think the main thing for him is gonna be like, you know, just watch the scoreboard. Watch the scoreboard. You know, as a catcher, you need to know what's happening, who's on deck. You know, and go from there. You know, like let your team that you're there for them. You know, like be a leader. Be a leader. Catchers, they're natural leaders. They have to be a leader. It's not question mark there. You got to be a leader. You're not Manny. You're a catcher. So it doesn't matter if Manny, Patty is over there. It doesn't matter who is in the infield. You are the leader, and he needs to step up and be that guy, regardless. You know, whoever is gonna be the number one guy behind the plate has got to be the leader.
Yeah, the general on the field. Yeah,
exactly.
About that list of people.
Yeah, yeah, like I was saying, about Mercado, he's a guy that got experience. He's a guy that definitely is competing for a spot. He knows what he can do. He knows that the team needs a guy back there, and we'll see how that goes for him during spring training. I think all those decisions in the outfields are gonna be making by the way they play. But we have a couple of the guys, bunch of new guys. The I really don't know them that well. I know Robert Perez Jr. from Venezuela. I saw him here. Tirso's
He's a
here.
big guy.
Yeah, yeah. He's a big boy, very young. I mean, 23 years old. His dad was a legend in Venezuela, so his background in baseball is important. It's huge. He should make big strides with us. We're working on the good stuff with him. He can be definitely a guy. And Soccer is here. Looks really good. He knows that he have a chance to be everyday guy. At this point, and definitely it's gonna be a very fun competition between all those guys. We have a bunch of the new guys that definitely won that job. And whenever that happens, any team, you will see the best out of those guys. That's for sure. You won't see people, you won't see those guys trying to get ready. That's for sure. Those guys are going to compete and they're going for a spot on the big league team. So that's gonna be very fun to watch.
I've got Ozokar's numbers up in front of me. He was with you guys for 31 games. I didn't realize that he stole 10 bases in that time. He only got caught once. So yeah, that
Mhm.
speed definitely plays up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He's working on that as well. He got speed. You just like need to make a little adjustments on the bases and pick up the right time and go. He was working on it last year. It worked pretty well for him. Hopefully he keep it up, and during this in spring training, if he makes the team, it will be important for us to have that kind of speed on our team.
Absolutely. So, it seems like the Padres have been hiring from within, and you being the AAA hitting coach, you're going to get an influx of these young guys coming up through the AAA, through El Paso, your Marcy's, your Paulies, Jackson Merrill's. More than likely, those guys are going to start in AAA. And there's even talk of, well, you'll see Ethan Salas, but as a coach, having these guys come up and knowing them so well, how do you feel about in the future making the big league coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, it will be amazing. It will be pretty fun. Definitely, it's different. When all these players. I think it makes a difference. They know you, they know they can trust you, and that's where everything starts for any coach. Like show them that you care, but I'm gonna hold them accountable. That's for sure. If I'm gonna go there, it's like this. That's the first thing. I'm gonna hold you accountable. You can hold me accountable. We're gonna do whatever it takes. To do our job on the field, and it's really excited. It's really excited to know that we're gonna have all those talents and coming up, and actually you can have an opportunity to be coaching them and the best level. That's I think that's gonna be something unique.
It's been neat for us to see you guys as coaches
Yeah.
move up along with the players. I mean, Pete Zamora is going to be managing with you, and we were just talking to him at El Paso. It seems like just a couple years ago.
I mean, Pitt is amazing. I'm excited to work with besides him. On his side, I think it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be good experience. Like he's gonna use me a lot because I was there last year.
Yeah.
As an advisor as well, besides his hitting coach, and I'm looking forward to do it.
All right, so I want to pick your brain a little bit. I want to throw out some different like skills, tools, and I want you to think of who you've worked with in the last couple of years that stands out. So, strike zone discipline. Who's somebody you've worked with that has just the best eye at the plate?
I mean, there has been a lot of guys that I mean, we made a lot of trades, and so you know, so those years, honestly, in Double A, I have all those All Star because they're now All Star in all the teams. But I will say a guy that comes to my mind right away is Josh Naylor. I had Josh Naylor for a couple of years. He wasn't the best. getting his pitch, but it was a lot of work done with him, and then he did his part, like he believed in us, he believed in me, he wanted to get better, and it was a relationship that it can be like, like a father and son, but in different ways, and that's how I see things with him and many other different players, but him especially was one of those hitters that have a lot of tools, a lot of power, that wants to crush every single ball because he have a super high percent of contact with the ball. So when you are that type of good hitter with bat to ball, you think you can hit everything besides just looking for the pitch, and you can actually do some real damage. And I mean, you see it now in the big leagues. He's an all-star. He's a superstar. He's doing a lot of damage with his bat, which we saw that for sure.
So kind of flip side of that, how about pitch recognition? Somebody that's good at recognizing a fastball versus a breaking pitch right out of the hand.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Tatis. Tatis, I had Tatis, and I
Oh,
think
he's the cheat code for all of this.
I know, but it was. I mean, we saw it first. That's what I can say. We saw that first, like, and it was really fun to watch. Watching this guy and adjusting pitch to pitch was impressed. It was impressed. Besides that, he had some issues. Like he didn't have that really good, swing decisions percentage, but it was, another guy that had back to ball, percentage, which is amazing. And then he thought that he couldn't hit everything, but he's been making big strides on that step, obviously. But at the end of the year, he was, like something different, and then he got hurt that year, but whenever he came back, he made the team, So that was like, there you go.
That's right. I forgot that you were in El Paso in San Antonio with him that year.
Yeah.
I think I remember us talking to you about Tatis and how you worked on him getting into his lower half.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, he's been. I mean, that year he was amazing. For the team that I have that year, it was amazing. I have Austin Allen, I have Ty Friend, Josh Naylor. I have those type of hitters that you will go like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah, well, we were talking about them all year. We were excited about them coming up and being the next generation of Padres. It didn't quite turn out that way, but we're still happy for them moving on to wherever they are. So, okay, I know it's going to be the same answer, but what about plate coverage? Somebody that could just square up anything, all quadrants of the zone.
Right. Well, you remember Edward Olivares, correct?
Yes,
from Venezuela. Olivares was one of those guys that actually, can cover, his strike zone. Sadly, in the village, he's been, injury maybe last couple of years, but I believe he fits healthy. I think he's gonna be a superstar. That's what I saw, in the minor leagues with him, working with him, and I still believe that they're still on him, like that talent is still in there, and I think I'm excited for him to have a good year and see what he can do, for a full year season.
I had fun watching him in Lake Elsinore. I want to say it was him, Buddy Reed, and Jason Rosario in that outfield. It's just three guys who could absolutely go get it. That was fun.
That was something else back there.
So how about raw power? I know right now you got Griffin Dorsing that can just absolutely light it up. Who's somebody that comes to your mind that's just like light tower power?
I mean, I gotta be honest. Years I spent 5 years, 3 years in San Antonio, and then we went to Amarillo. And then COVID hit, so San Antonio is a place for land dry hitters.
Yeah.
If you're a power hitter, the only guy that comes to my mind is from Miller Reyes. He destroyed the ball. He destroyed the ball there. Like, it didn't matter. It was San Antonio. The wind was blowing in. That's the guy. I mean, and he makes some power, and I saw that. And that's the guy that comes to my mind because you will say, no way that ball is going out. Oh, yes, it is. So, from what I remember, he was one of those guys that didn't matter where he was playing.
All right, and my last one here on this list, and it's a total flip. Who's got the best instincts on defense? With catcher, outfielder making good reads, the infielder that's always cutting the right guy off.
Ooh, that's a good question right there. That's a good one. Now you made me think.
I know you had Jose Iglesias last year. I know he
I
was known
did.
more for a glove early in
Oh,
his career.
it's not fair to call him in this one
Right.
because he's still the best. I mean, our infielders were not ready for what he's going to do with the baseball and a double play or bases loaded. They were like, is he going to come here? Is he going to go to first? We're not sure. So he was, I mean, something else, to be honest. Like, wow, impressed, very impressed. But I think Eguy has really good instincts on the infield. He knows the game. He plays the game well. You know, he's aware. He's aware of the situation. He had made big strides on that as well. You know, like he knows he got talent, but he was kind of like, oh, I'm just good. But now he's like, I know what I need to do. You know, and I know what I can make this play. I know what I can throw here or there. I need to throw here or there. You know, the shortest throw, get that out. You know, and he has made huge strides for us.
Well, and that's it kind of goes into our next question, and it makes sense. These guys they're so talented, and they're so good, and they want to impress. Teaching them to kind of dial it back and make smart decisions instead of going, here, look at me throw from deep in the hole at third, where I might be able to get the guy out at first, but the guy getting to second is going to go over to third. Kind of in the same sense of hitting. You've been in Amarillo, you're in El Paso now. How do you keep guys from just going, all right, I'm going to jack three, in the Pacific Coast League?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. We just have that conversation a couple of days ago with the hitters, like, you guys are going to go from El Paso to Petco. Petco is something else. Petco, you need to stay on the gaps. If you want to survive, if you want to help the team, fly ball doesn't work over there. Like it's just different. So, we're having that conversation. Like, we need to, besides that, we know that we're in El Paso, balls fly, and if you go to Amarillo, that time, the balls flies as well. And if you go to different ballparks in the big leagues, some ballparks, it's just crazy how the balls fly, but not our ballpark. Like we need to learn how to play our ballpark, from rookie ball all the way to the big league. So when you get there, you know what to do. You need to hit line drives on the gaps, like, you'll see Manny hitting 40 or Taddy hitting 40, but those guys are the guys, the main guys are built to do that. They're not even trying, they're just natural, they know how to hit the ball, and they're big enough to be able to drive those baseballs. So, not everybody just have that type of talent, that type of strength. But if they learn how to hit the ball the right way, they're gonna have to say it. They might end up hitting some, good amount of homers as well, because that's the way the baseball works. Like when you know how to hit the baseball, you put good bat spin on it. I mean, that ball is gonna take out for sure.
Yeah, I remember seeing Ty France hit when I think he hit it in Vegas. He hit it like 100 feet past the center field fence, and then it was the first year of the Vegas. And I was like, that was the year he hit 400, 399, and it's like the Pacific. So, Coach, how do you judge development when we talk about it all the time, playing on the moon, when you're hitting on the moon? When I read somewhere where hitting in the high threes is league average for the Pacific Coast League. Where do you guys see the development in guys more than just looking at the stat line? Because we see the stat line and like, he's hitting 380. Why is he not in the big leagues? Well, it's
right. Yeah. No, I mean, I got you. I got what you're saying. It's definitely different. Sure. The thing is, like, how, what type of at bat that guy's giving you, because it's you can be anywhere, and it's gonna be no difference hitting with the bases loaded or running on third. For sure, fan wise, it's gonna be different. Yes, gonna be more fans in the big leagues and the minor league, but you're gonna see his approach. You're gonna see what he's trying to do. You're gonna see his intent. If he got a good intent, good intention to get that runner in, we're gonna evaluate that. Like, it's not just like, get under the ball and try to hit fly balls because the wind is gonna take off and it's so high that it's gonna go. That's for us. That's not too hard. Like just to evaluate that stuff. You just got to ask me what do you think? Like, what's his approach looks like when he got runners on base? What his approach looks like when he got running on second base, nobody out? Are he trying to move that runner over, or he just trying to hit tank because he's in a Paso or he's in in Las Vegas or Albuquerque,
Tacoma, right?
Those places that the ball is gonna fly. But if I see a guy trying to freaking just put a good content on the ball and trying to stay up the middle and hit a homer, that's completely fine. He's trying to do the right thing and he just hit a homer. Now that's a hitter that you would definitely want to have the big league because he's having success in a real way. Regardless, maybe that line drive that he hit got on the gap, and maybe Petco got caught, but it's an RBI. That's what you're looking for. Like running on third, less than 2 hours, hit a line drive to the outfield, or maybe a ground ball in the infield's playing back. That's an RBI. You're helping, and that's the way we're gonna evaluate those guys for sure. Like I would definitely, if you ask me who's ready here, you think they're hitting it, all of them hitting 320, 350. Or 280, whatever. Maybe I pick the guy that's hitting 260 with 75 RBIs because that's the guy who knows how to hit with runners on base.
Right.
So that will be a decision made right there.
So are there any like stats, metrics, tools that you guys look at to try to judge? I mean, because hitting is such an extreme environment there. You can have somebody that they can hit home runs in 3 straight games, but they're wall scrapers. So are you pulling those guys aside and saying, if that's a major league ballpark, that's a fly out? Yeah. How do you evaluate that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely have some metrics for that stuff, but when you go and look at the level and AAA level is different. They know, they just need a reminder. Hey, remember, if you're gonna go in Petco, that fly ball is not gonna go anywhere. It's just gonna be an out. Maybe you go for 4 and you go sit down. Maybe you hit 4 line drives. It's different. Like all depends. You just got to have the right approach. Definitely, the walks. That's huge. Like definitely a guy that's walking a lot and AAA level and hitting well as well. It's definitely a candidate to go to the big leagues because that's a guy that you want. One thing that when you play in those type of fields, it gives you confidence. It's not like that guy that's had 20 homers and hitting 350 in AAA. It's gonna go in the big leagues and do the same stuff,
Right?
But it's gonna be a guy that is very confident. He's gonna go there and face whoever. Kershaw, I'm ready. I'm ready because I feel really good. I've been hitting well. Things are going my way, so let's bring it. You might have a good day for that guy, and that day might help you out to win a game. So yeah, at the end of the day, we're looking for those guys that can do damage and keep their approach in a good spot in order to go to Petco and hit in that ballpark because it will be different for them.
All right. Well, we appreciate you taking the time as always. This is our 3rd or 4th time talking with you here on the podcast. I'm going to be out there. I was just talking to you. I'll be out there next weekend, so I'll seek you out and come say hi. But as always, we really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us.
I mean, I appreciate you guys. It's always fun. It's definitely a great shot and be able to catch up a little bit. Talk a little bit about our players, our team, and see what's next.